Hi, this is John Hand, and I'm joined by my co-host Mike Engel on this episode of Cinema Spotlight for a very special show about a special Brian DePalma film, Body Double.
He thought he was watching her, but she was watching him. He thought he was trespassing, but he was invited. He saw exactly what she wanted him to see, and what he saw was murder. Brian DePalma. Body Double. You can't believe everything you see. Rated R. Coming soon to a theater near you.
All right, John. You know what we're going to talk about? One of my favorite movies of all time. 1984's Brian DePalma directed Body Double.
Oh my, oh my, oh my.
Yes, this film was quite the controversy, and still is, to some degrees. Body Double has been accused of being a rip from Alfred Hitchcock films, primarily Rear Window and Vertigo, as far as its storyline. And I really liked the film. I saw it at a particularly interesting time. Got a hold of it on Laserdisc at the time, and I had a friend of mine that was always talking about the film, and referencing the film and talking about how he thought it was really neat. And I was aware of Brian De Palma's Dressed to Kill, which was a similar sort of, I guess, semi-horror sort of title, and picked up a copy of Dressed to Kill on Laserdisc and Body Double that came out at the time on the same day, and had a little bit of a Brian De Palma marathon. Watched Dressed to Kill first, great film. And so I had this high anticipation of seeing Body Double, put it on, and really blown away by it. I think it's a film that a lot of people have very mixed feelings about, and a lot of people say that it depicts women in a very bad light. As far as
yeah, I mean, Brian De Palma had kind of gotten that same rap on Dressed to Kill. You know, with his depiction of women. David Lynch got that same criticism with Blue Velvet. You know, it was a feminist read, you know.
We were introduced to a character named Jack Scully, played by Craig Wasson. And this guy, he's a struggling actor. He, as we're introduced to him at the beginning of the film, is very enthusiastic about, on this particular day, comes home to greet his girlfriend, and comes to find that she's banging some other guy in their bed in the place that they're staying at. So Jake, having his good day, goes to it being not so quite a good day. So he ends up running out of there and commences to hitting the bar and drinking his sorrows away. And they, at this point in the film, they follow him around for like a day or so, and he's going to some acting gig, casting calls, and he meets this particular character played by Greg Henry at one of the read-throughs. And Greg Henry's character starts conversing with Jake, and Jake, during the course of the conversation, mentions something about how he's kind of down on his luck right now. Things aren't going as well as he expected them to in his social life and his professional life as being an actor, and just he's looking for something to kind of really get him to kind of look up to things. And so this guy that Greg Henry portrays basically says, well, I've got some news for you. I think that things are going to be looking up for you, because he's actually house sitting for a couple that are friends of his, and Jake's looking for a place to crash because he's without a place to stay now. So Greg Henry's character basically says, "Hey, look, I got to go out of town for a casting call on a film, so I would be glad to have you come by and house sit." And so Jake is all down for that. And then we are led into the sequence in the film where Jake and Greg Henry's character go to this house. And the house is actually a real house. It's called the Chemisphere.
Yes, yes.
It's a real house located, what is that, in L.A. or?
Yeah, I believe so.
So they go to the Chemisphere house, and this is a very iconic sort of architectural home that it's been used in some TV shows and movies before. Charlie's Angels comes to mind, the movie. It's prominent in that film. They go to this home, and Greg Henry explains to Craig Wasson's character that you can stay here for the near future and just make sure that you feed the fish and water the plants. And he said, one of the things I haven't told you about was one of the perks that comes with staying at this particular property. So, of course, Jake Scully is interested in what that specifically means. So Greg Henry's character has him come out to the balcony, the terrace there, and there's a telescope on the balcony. And Greg Henry is like, come over here, I want you to see something. And he points the telescope down into the valley where there's other, and this is a really high ritzy area. The Chemisphere house is up on a hillside that kind of overlooks a lot of the neighborhood with a lot of the homes. So he points the telescope down, and he's looking down into one of the neighbors' bedroom windows. And we see this female individual kind of doing a very seductive sort of dance with her back to the telescope. And Greg Henry explains to Craig Wasson that this is something that this woman does every night, and he kind of becomes entranced by this sort of little midnight peep show that this woman provides. So we're kind of set into motion at this point, the storyline, and we start to realize that Jake Scully starts becoming very, very entranced and borderline obsessed with this woman and who she is.
Yes, because these peep shows, which are set to this very sexy music from Pino Donaggio.
Yeah, a very haunting sort of hypnotic theme that they play throughout the film.
Yes.
And as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of Hitchcockian imagery and usage of theme and how the film is constructed.
Oh yeah. I mean, the way that DePalma describes it, he saw himself working in the kind of film grammar that Hitchcock had set up, in those films. Not really, in a sense, ripping off the plots, but just working in this kind of grammar of whatever exactly, copying the plots. But if you want to take him at his word.
Well, the film's very voyeuristic.
Yes.
In nature. And Jake Scully's character basically follows her name is Gloria Revelle, the individual, the very seductive woman who does her little midnight dance number, and follows her throughout the course of the day, a la Jimmy Stewart in Vertigo with
exactly.
Kim Novak, and develops this obsession with her. And the storyline really hits its peak with the fact one night he's watching her do her little strip tease through the telescope, and he notices somebody's watching her as well. And it is this mysterious, shadowy sort of character who is working on a cable satellite dish. And initially he doesn't really think too much of it, but then he starts to develop the situation where he starts worrying for her safety and that something's going to occur. And as the storyline progresses through the film, Gloria Revelle gets murdered, is what Jake witnesses.
Yes.
And he becomes inadvertently the prime suspect number one. So the film takes a lot of twists here and there throughout the film, and in the last, I'd say the last third of the film, it takes really a sway to like left field with things and starts delving into the world of adult porn.
Yes, of X-rated films where we meet this star played by Holly Body, played by Melanie Griffith, who we find out was actually the woman who was actually dancing in front of the window for the Craig Wasson character.
Yeah, she was hired to basically, we're obviously spoiling the film.
Again, a la Vertigo, she was, set up.
So, interesting imagery in the film, the way it was shot, the way it was technically constructed. Jake's character, I thought, one of the interesting things, like with Jimmy Stewart in Vertigo, Stewart's character Scotty had a issue with heights, and Jake Scully has an issue with claustrophobia. And there's an interesting, one of the things in the film that was very stark to me was the beginning of the film, where he's portraying a vampire character in a film called Vampire's Kiss.
Yes.
And he totally has a freak out in one of the scenes that they're filming, and when you first see the beginning of the movie, you're not sure that you're watching a movie about a movie being made, and he's...
Yeah, this is the second time that Brian DePalma had done that. You might think he did it at the beginning of Blowout. Remember, there's a slasher movie at the beginning of Blowout, which has this kind of Halloween-esque Steadicam shot.
Tracking.
Yeah, Steadicam shot at the beginning. And so he kind of carries on with this vampire movie at the beginning of Body Double.
Yeah, De Palma's done a lot of really great films. Obviously, Blowout, as you mentioned, Dress to Kill, Body Double, Carrie,
yeah,
The Untouchables, which is more of an action sort of film.
This is the film he made out of Scarface. Body Double was directly after Scarface. Scarface, I don't think was not a very big success. So,
and has henceforth become a pop culture icon sort of character of Tony Montero.
Yeah, and you know who he initially wanted to cast in the Melanie Griffith role in this film?
No.
He really wanted to cast a real porn star. I think he wanted to cast Gloria Leonard or someone like that. But he fought really hard with the studio to do that. But apparently she just didn't really have the acting chops. He had to get a real actor.
When did you see Body Double?
When did I see it?
Time?
Well, I mean, I'd heard about it for years, and the video box art, the poster art is very alluring. These blinds, they're half open. So you see this
silhouette
body.
Of a voyeuristic sort of individual looking through peeping through the window at some people.
Yeah,
or a woman.
Yeah, and honestly, I'd seen every De Palma film pretty much besides Obsession and home movies. I'd ever seen everything except Body Double, and so I only saw it a couple of years ago, and when that special edition DVD came out, and really blew me away. Again, very reminiscent of, as I said, Vertigo and Rear Window, but still a pretty good take on those films.
Yeah, and they very much a Los Angeles-based sort of film. They utilize a lot of local locales, I guess you could say, like such as the Fresh Market and the Tail of the Pup hot dog stand, which has been an iconic sort of thing there for years. And of course the Chemisphere House and Malibu Beach. A lot of very interesting dynamic camera work with a lot of the scenes, and very interesting usage of Frankie Goes to Hollywood's pop song Relax.
Yes, it's basically a musical sequence, a full-out musical sequence.
Like a full music video.
Yeah, pretty much. Film. Yeah, music video.
And Craig Wasson, I don't know about you, but he reminds me of, like, Bill Maher's younger brother. He looks like Bill Maher to me every time I watch that movie.
A very good actor, though. He he has this kind of original take on things, and I love his reactions. I love watching him react to things, you know. And the only other movie I really remember him in is the Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
Well, he was in Ghost Story as well.
Oh yes, I forget. He was great in Ghost Story. Alice Cridge, and all those great older actors in Ghost Story. He was great. He was great in Ghost Story and in Body Double, and then in Nightmare 3, he was still great. Heather Langenkamp playing off her. Those are two very similar actors, I think, actually, Langenkamp and Wasson.
Greg Henry, great being the guy. He's got a little bit of a tinge of being a little bit of a sneaky sort of guy, but you're not really sure because you actually kind of like the guy. He's kind of like that guy that was...
He's very likable.
Kind of the douchey frat boy kind of type guy, but he's very likable, and you're not really sure what's kind of going on with this guy. In the film.
I loved him in Just Before Dawn, the slasher movie. He was great. It was one of his first roles, but he became really like a Paul Verhoeven, mainstay. And you're right, even though it's a little too convenient that he's got this house that Craig Wasson can stay at and blah, 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 it's still, you go along with it, You're like, oh, okay.
And let's not forget Deborah Shelton, who is positively just stunning in this film.
You've got a crush on Deborah Shelton, I can tell you that.
Well, no, I mean, I just know that a lot of people, thought quite a bit about her.
A lot of people, and their name is Mike. That's it.
I'm not obsessed with Deborah Shelton. Sorry.
Okay, all right.
No, but she's very she's got the breathless kind of quality of talking.
She does.
And at the time, I think she was on Dallas. I think she was playing a character on Dallas. But at the time, the reason that I guess I sound like I'm making a big to-do about her is she was really, really a very a lot of guys thought a lot of her at the time.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
She was very even though over the years people have forgotten the name or whatnot, I know that at the time she was considered a very
that hot.
Yeah. I'm telling you firsthand.
Figuratively I don't really know the cultural context of her and how big she was at that point. I mean, she is real sultry.
Yeah, she's very sultry. It would be like if Megan Fox disappeared into obscurity now, and then people referenced her.
Yeah,
for that period
that's
of a couple
about
years.
To happen. So you're saying.
Well, I didn't want to say it.
What you're saying when Megan Fox?
I'm trying to be nice.
Obscurity.
But the film's great. Lots of very tense scenes. There's a lot of dark humor injected into the film. Melanie Griffith is great playing Holly Body. She has got the right sort of live the life sort of attitude, but on top of that, an underlying sort of innocence.
Yeah, she's the hooker with the heart of gold, or the porn star with the heart of gold.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what is it? Holly Does Hollywood was the film.
Yeah.
There's some things in the film that don't quite... you have to suspend disbelief when you... Jake Scully's watching... One of the main kind of twists in the film hinges on the fact that Jake Scully would be watching television at a particular time, viewing a particular porno that he's able to identify Holly Body...
The dancing, Holly Body's
dancing that she's doing.
Because he realizes that this is the woman that he's actually been watching dancing. It's not the wife who was, murdered, set up murdered by the Greg Henry character, who was the husband of this wife. Okay, we're just going to spoilerama. But, so he realizes that. So, but I guess it makes, it's not a big leap. Mike, I mean, if this is a porno actress, she was doing dozens and dozens of films, so if you didn't see that movie, you could have seen another movie,
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like, in your hometown that you live in, like, if you happen to be watching something and you're watching your neighbor get murdered and you see some sort of sexy, seductive dance going on across the street with the neighbor, and then you're watching a porno and you go, Oh, wow. I noticed, and remember he was heavily drunk at the time when he was watching it.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So, it's fine. I mean, it's not...
It works.
It's a movie.
It's a leap. You make the leap.
But
Quantum leap.
the film holds up with repeat viewings.
Absolutely.
The special edition Blu-ray John mentioned that came out is great. It's got a documentary that's split into 4 sections.
Oh, yeah.
Brian DePalma
Yeah.
goes over the different aspects of the film as far as like the casting and all the way to the fallout that the film was accused of with exploiting women and their plight with violence and blah blah blah, fuck them, whatever.
It's great, and it's a DVD only. It's not a Blu-ray, but I'm sure eventually it will be upgraded to Blu-ray, probably with even an enhanced transfer, or maybe just a special edition, limited edition Blu-ray like Friday Night or some crap.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about the
with
film,
a Donaggio score, maybe isolated. That would be good.
Oh yeah, that track is great.
Yeah.
The I believe it's called Telescope, actually. That track.
Yes. It's released by Entrada on a limited edition CD.
Actually had it as my ringtone for a while, as
yes,
you know.
you did. I wonder who made that for you.
Well, an interesting note is the film that Jake Scully is working on at the beginning and the very end that bookends the film is called Vampire's Kiss.
Yes.
And what can you tell me about that?
What can I tell you about that? Or what do you want me to tell you about that? Or...
What do you know about that? Because there's a interesting segue. There's a film that was made called Vampire's Kiss that was named after that film.
Well, I mean, there was that Nicolas Cage film.
Exactly.
It was named after that
Yes.
film? Interesting. I didn't know that.
The infamous Nicolas Cage eating the cockroach scene
Yes.
from that film.
Yeah, well, I never knew that. Interesting.
Great film. What's do you hold that in such high regard as I do?
Body Double? Maybe not. It doesn't really have the kind of nostalgic appeal to you as it does to me. There are other Brian De Palma movies that I like better.
Blowout, probably.
Blowout and, well, no, maybe not Blowout as much as Fan of the Paradise. I think is just incredible film. And Scarface, just for the pure, outlandish, crazy, just brilliant film. Even The Untouchables with the great Kevin Costner. And
let's not forget Snake Eyes with Nick Cage and Gary Sinise.
Yeah,
right?
that was another classic. But no, but Dress to Kill or Mission to Mars.
Mission Impossible, Brian De Palma.
Yeah, Mission Impossible.
The first film.
And yeah,
Casualties of War.
Femme Fatale.
Yes.
That was a good one. That was an underrated one.
I haven't
very weird, dreamlike
partaken
one.
of that one.
With Becca Romijan Stamos in it. She was great.
So what's De Palma been working on recently?
I think he's just been working on his tan in Paris or whatever, at the resort. I don't know.
That's where he's residing these days?
Yes, he's in. I think he moved to France, and that's where he is right now. And the last film he made was this pseudo documentary, Redacted, a few years ago. So, was
he married to Karen Allen? Am I remembering that right?
He was married to Karen Allen. He was married to Gail Ann Hurd, who was married to David
Cameron, right?
Yeah, James Cameron. So I think he got sloppy seconds for Cameron there. And then he was married to some other woman from like 93 to like 98 or something. He was married from like Karen Allen in like late 70s or early 80s, and then to Gail Ann Hurd, and then from the 80s to the 90s, and then this other woman. And he's got like 2 kids. I think one with Gail Ann Hurd and the other one with the other.
Wow, you make it sound like Hollywood is rather incestuous.
Well, I mean, yeah, Brian De Palma is well known as being this dick kind of guy. You know, a lot of people have very harsh words for him.
He seems to like wearing those safari shirts.
He does.
He directs.
He does. He likes wearing. He does. Yeah.
I think I need to check out the Joe Franklin review for the film.
You need to check out the Joe Franklin review. Joe Franklin probably interviewed Brian De Palma. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
I'm sure at one point he did.
I don't know. I don't know.
The ending of the film is shot really well too at the reservoir.
Yeah.
There's an interesting whole scene there with Jake having to confront his fear of claustrophobia while confronting the killer who's now been demasked. And did we mention Dennis Franz is in this from NYPD Blue fame?
I wasn't sure if he was in it, but you just confirmed it for me.
He was the director in the film.
Yes,
not of the film, but in the film.
Because he was also in Blowout. He played the photographer.
Yeah, what the hell has that guy been up to these days?
What,
You haven't seen much of him, yeah.
I don't know. Probably not that much. I mean, I think he made a load of money from NYPD Blue. He was on there so many years. Probably became one of the highest paid actors, you know. But keeping it on the down low. He wasn't a Charlie Sheen guy who's, you know, just, hey, hanging in there.
And, of course, Franz's co-actor on the series there, Mr. Caruso.
Mr. Caruso. And
has gone on to do pretty well.
Joe
himself.
Franklin and David Caruso for you. It's just...
Oh, he's the man, you know?
Yes. Yes.
That I don't think I've ever seen someone who's lucked out as much as David Caruso, other than Kelsey Grammer, as far as being like just complete dickheads that have just gone on to like fucking stumble into luck time and time again.
Wow. Yeah.
So
I guess so.
Well,
to end on a positive note.
There is Body Double for you.
There it is. An excellent little piece of Brian De Palma 80s suspense.
A fun little thriller.
Yes, a fun little thriller for you and your family.
That states you like to watch.
You like to watch, yes.
Don't you?
Don't you?